Hello, beautiful soul. How are you doing today? My name is Belinda, and I'm a 37-year-old lady, a mother of 3 beautiful girls, a woman who has gone through a tough time, who has experienced a rough patch in her life, and who is rebuilding again. And this time she's doing it with grace. Oh, and that is why we have this channel. This channel, it's called Rebuilding with Grace. This is where I share my life, the challenges that I went through, and how I rise again, step by step. And I would like you to be part of the challenge or the rising. I will be sharing more of the steps that I'm taking, whether rebuilding spiritually, emotionally, financially, psychologically, every aspect of my life. And I challenge you to be part of it. So welcome to this space. Please feel welcome. This is a place where rebuilding is not, we are not ashamed to rebuild. This is a place where rebuilding feels like holy ground, because we accept that we are not perfect humans. We are not perfect mothers. We are not perfect wives. We are not perfect siblings. We are not perfect mothers. We come as we are, and we take a day at a time to work on one or more aspects of our life so that we improve our lives for the betterment of the people who depend on us and for our own betterment. So welcome on board. Please, I would love this to be a community where we grow together. So please invite a friend, like, subscribe, and share the content with someone who you feel that my story or my content will encourage them in their journey of rebuilding. Now, I want to talk to you about who Belinda is. Belinda is, as I said, I'm a lady who is 37 years old. And I'm a lady who has gone through life thinking that pure grit or working hard will make a way for her. And I have worked hard in everything that I have ever engaged myself in. I have worked hard. I have pushed myself to immense levels, and still I don't have anything to show for it. And that is why this channel is here, because I realize that if you have not worked on your self-concept, if you have not worked on the issues of life that you have gone through, that the trauma that you carry in yourself, it affects, most of the time, it shows up in how you show up in life. It shows up in how you talk to people, how you present yourself, how you price your products or services. It shows up on how you negotiate for the things in life. It shows up in how valuable you think, or the worth that you give yourself. So I got married when I was around 23, 24. And of course, marriage, it's not been a walk in the park. It has had its ups and downs. But that is not what I want us to talk about. I want us to talk about me and the things I have gone through. But I mentioned about my marriage because as we go on, you will understand why I had to mention about me having gotten married at that particular time. So before I got married, I was working in Nairobi. And when I tied the knot, I moved to Kisumu to build a family with my husband. And it wasn't a walk in the park. I was working in an insurance firm as a unit manager. And I took this role with all my heart. I was given this unit. It didn't have an employee, even one. And I grew my staff or my team from 0 to 17 working and profitable sales agents. And that was my pride. I loved the fact that I challenged myself to this role, and I built a team that we pushed ourselves so many times, so many uncountable times to meet the set targets or the requirements of of my employer. So we have won awards. We won awards as the best unit, the best. I won an award as the best unit manager, and I also won an award as the best sales agent, because you also, as you're leading, you also lead by example. And as a result of that, at some point, I gifted myself a car. I bought myself a car as a birthday present on 31st of December 2016. Though my birthday is in January, but I bought it earlier so that I prepare before the birthday dates. So I gifted myself this car, and it was my pride. I used that car that whole 2017, but in 2017 August, I chose to leave employment and to join the business world. Reason being, I told myself, if I can put the same level of commitment and the same level of drive that I'm putting in employment and win, if I can put the same in my business, I knew I would go far. But I chose to start from the lowest level that I knew, and I began with trolleys and a trolley where I was selling boiled eggs and smokies. Yes, I would leave my home, come to a hero town, park the car, get to my shop, boil eggs, prepare the smokies, the kachumbari, and roam around with it with the trolley, and I'll sell smokies and eggs. And at the end of the day, close the shop and go back home. So that is where I started. And I remember most people looking at me and wondering, how is this beautiful girl doing this? And I remember someone asking me, I told them no, but I know inaweza nunua hata plot nijenge. So that is how much I believed that in whatever thing I put myself into, if I pushed myself, I would achieve whatever goal I set to myself. So I worked on that project. I began as one person, then the team grew. I looked for other people to employ. I employed some 2 gentlemen, and I increased the trolleys. Ikaendelea hivyo. Then we grew into an eatery. So we were doing the smoky and eggs, and then I introduced the eatery section. And then also with time, it grew in 2018 into a bar and restaurant. So I had the bar and restaurant. I moved it to a different location. Then in Ahero town, I had the smokies and the small eatery. So we were growing. We were doing well, and I was very proud of myself. Then when the bar and restaurant was barely 5 months old, I remember it was on a Wednesday. It was on a Thursday morning. I had dropped my kids to school, and I was driving to work, and I even remember how I had dressed. I remember every detail of that day because I was so excited. It was a day that I felt finally this I have reached that level that I have always wanted for myself. And the reason for that is because I had managed to bring the entertainment system, the music system, the TV, the DSTV, it was installed. And that was progress for me. And I also had gotten, I had been supplied alcohol on a big and on a huge scale that Wednesday. And I felt like now I was ready. I was ready to take off. I had even talked to some musicians about now doing a real launch. We had done a mini launch when we started the band restaurant, but now I felt like now I was ready to do events, and I was ready to invite artists. So I had even engaged an artist, and a Luo artist. We were in talks on doing a launch for the band restaurant. So this day I had just dropped my kids to school, and I was just about to enter a hero town, and then I saw my mother-in-law hooting. They were following me with her car, so I stopped. They told me to stop, and I stopped. And she came running, and she told me, "Bella, there's something wrong. There's something wrong at your place of work, and you need to go there direct. Don't stop anywhere. Just go there direct." I imagined maybe because I left before they closed the previous day, so I imagined maybe watu walikuwa wamelewa sana or something. I didn't imagine that it will be something that will shake me. So I told her, that's okay. And she asked me where my phone was, and my phone had gone off, and we didn't have power at home that day. So my phone had gone off, and my husband was not home. He was in Nairobi. So my employees had called my husband to ask them to reach out to me because they were calling me, they couldn't reach me. And so now that he couldn't reach me, now he had to use his mom to reach out to me. And I remember just brushing it off, and I told myself, let me go. And so I didn't even follow the instructions. I went to a hero. I had some crates for beer in at the back of in my car. So I went near to the distributors. I put the alcohol, and now when they were loading the crates to my car, it's when now people started telling me, "Bella, pole." And I began shaking. I was shaking so much. Nikiwauliza, "Nini mbona mnaniambia pole?" They couldn't tell me the detail. They just told me, "You need to go to your workplace of work." So nikaeka the crates very fast, and I drove very fast to my place of work. But it is a rough road from Ahero town to where I had set up the band restaurant. It was a rough road, but I drove very fast. I'm a fast driver, but that day I drove very fast, and I could see people looking walikuwa wananitokea kwa njia because they knew what had happened, and they were feeling for me, and they could tell I don't know what was going on, and they didn't want to be the first people to break the news to me. So when I reached the center that the band restaurant was, at the entrance of my premises, my place of work was wide open. It had a front and a back door. And when I drove through the gate, I saw through. And niliona nikiingia kwa gate, I could see up to the back. And I saw that there was nothing. Like the whole place was empty. I usually don't understand how I parked the car because I don't remember. I don't remember parking that car. I only remember fainting at the doorway. I just remember seeing an empty space and fainting. That was the hardest day of my life. So the crowd, there was a crowd. My employees, they attended to me. My mother-in-law and my father-in-law had followed me. So they came and consoled me, and I was inconsolable because that was my investment. I had put in everything I had, all my savings, everything I had put in there. And just remember that the previous day, I was feeling like finally I had reached that point where now I'm going to be comfortable and take care of my children with easiness. I have always wanted to live a soft life. And I had pushed myself to this level because I knew finally I can get to give my children that life that I wanted so much. And so seeing my bar and restaurant wiped clean broke me. I cried, I prayed, I asked questions, the police came, we did interviews. There were leads left, right, center. I asked for help from my siblings, and we tried to follow up and see if we can recover anything. And we didn't. We didn't recover anything. I lost it all like that. Just like that in one night. I remember a friend of mine, she's called Valerie. I remember she reached out and told me, because they took everything. That they wiped my bar and restaurant. They wiped it clean. They took everything from the restaurant section, the bar section. They took this music system. They took everything. What I have never understood to date is, at the back we had rooms, and my bartender and one of the bartender and the cashier, they had a room, and they never had these robbers come in because these guys came with a lorry and they took their time and packed everything and they went with them. So I asked myself questions. How come they never had anything? They didn't hear these guys breaking in. They didn't hear movement. The furniture being moved. They didn't hear anything. They took everything. They only left me with a broom. That's what was left. And some table stands as a chuma. They were the only ones that were left. When they broke in, I had begun interest in nilikuwa nimeshaanza develop interest in baking. So my first oven also was in there. So I was stripped. I didn't know where to start. I remember spending time just at home. I didn't even have the strength to even drop my kids to school. So their dad would drop them to school, go to work, come back. I just spent time watching movies, series after series. I wouldn't even comb my hair. I lost it. I lost myself. And then this friend of mine called Valerie reached out and told me, when I was in the insurance industry, when I was working, my team used to call me Mama. Even my other members of other teams used to call me Mama. So she called and said, Mama, what if I talked to our former staff members? We come together, form our WhatsApp group and raise some funds and buy you an oven. Maybe with that you can start again, and maybe we'll give you another chance. And she formed the group. And the painful part is these people, after they formed the group, no one contributed anything to help me when I needed them to help me. No one contributed even a single cent. They didn't even comment. They didn't even say anything in that group. And I was pained with that because I am a woman who didn't just lead this team with I was a mother to them. This 10 team of 17, I was a mother to them. I was their friend. The others who had not been proposed to by their husbands, I was there with them. I allowed them to use my car to immense level. I took them to the field with my car. I funded them. When they had children, I stepped in. I was there with them. Even in those maternity wards, I was their mother. And that's why they called me Mama. I was their friend. I was their mother. I was their unit manager. I led this team with all my heart. So when it came to time when I needed them to stand with me during my hardest time and them not being there for me, that was a big blow to me. My husband was part of the team, and he knew how much I had invested in this team. And when he saw the kind of reaction that I got when I needed them, it hurt him too. And he opted to buy me an oven. He gifted me an oven. And we started the journey of rebuilding again. Now, we put up a structure at home, and I began working from home, making from home. I began working on the recipes one by one, the cupcakes, the cakes, the cookies, the Swiss rolls, all of it. I worked on those recipes for my home with this oven that I was gifted with. So I grew, and one thing I know about myself is whatever I choose myself to put, whatever I put myself into, it always succeeds. Always. And so in no time, within a month or two, I grew to the level where I would bake cakes and deliver countrywide. I've delivered cakes in Lodwar. I did a wedding cake from Ahero to Lodwar. done wedding cakes for events in Nairobi, in Kisumu, in Bungoma, in Kakamega. We even did a cake for one of the aspirants who wanted to be the 5th president of this country. So we grew. And I grew from just being one person, working as myself, and then I looked for other people, a team of 7, but I began with 2, then we grew progressively. I also looked for an assistant baker. So we grew to a point where we would bake queen cakes and supply to supermarkets in Ahero, to Awasi, and to Kindugo. At that point also, I felt like now I'm ready. I'm ready to move to a town center. So even before we moved to Ahero town, we conducted interviews with my husband. We conducted interviews and chose a few people that we would work with. Then we looked for a suitable place that we would work. We would set up the bakery. And we just, step one, where we started was just like a small room, because now we didn't get a good place, a big place that we would do all the production and the selling from the same place. So we got a place, a small place where we just did the sales from, and then I did the baking from home. Then several months down the line, like 4 or 5 months, I got now a bigger place where now we set up where the whole production and the sales was done in the same place. And we grew. We were doing well. And so in that place, we were doing mass production of queen cakes, and we were doing the event cakes. And also I introduced now fresh juice. And we would sell like 20 liters of juice a day. We would sell several crates of queen cakes, and an order here or there, maybe 2 or 3 in a day. So we're not doing badly. And at that point, I made some choices. I made some choices that cost me. Just to let me add this a step I've forgotten to mention. After the robbery, I took a loan, because now I didn't have any other way of funding now the bar and restaurant. Now, and with an effort to try to stay afloat, I took a loan with the car as the security, and I pumped that money into the bar and restaurant. But considering the kind of loss that we had incurred, that money did not help. It did not help in any way. I lost customers because now the level of comfort, the way I had set up the business earlier, and now redoing it with these little funds, they were not the same level. So the comfort wasn't there as it was in the first place. The football, we couldn't air football. The kind of the quality of the refreshments that I was selling, I couldn't sell the fast refreshments that I was selling. So I lost quite a good number of clients. People who would come and park and spend their whole evening there. Now they wouldn't come because now just a lower class. I didn't consider that when I was taking the loan. I didn't imagine that it would affect us to that level. I was naive to that level, and it cost me because I was supposed to be paying 50,000 monthly for that loan, and it was supposed to come from the proceeds of this business. I didn't have any other source. And 4 or 5 months down the line, also, I couldn't honor the monthly payment, and so they came for the car. I was at home. We were at home. I had even given up on that business. So we had not closed, but I wasn't even going there as often as I meant to. So this particular date, they came and they came home and they asked if I have the 50,000 for that month, and I didn't have. I remember tulikuwa tumebakisha just three installments alafu iishe. 3 or 4. I don't remember very well. But ilikuwa imebaki kidogo. It wasn't for a whole year. It was just a few months. Because they only had given me 200,000. I didn't have the money. So they said they will go with the car if I don't have the money. If I manage to get the money, nitaenda Waibonye nichukue. And I knew I wouldn't get the money from anywhere else. And so I just watched. I gave them the key, and I watched them drive off. I watched them drive off. That moment was another hard hit on me because that car was not just my pride. It was my symbol of it was a sign that always was there, that always reminded me that, Bella, if you concentrate, if you put your mind, energy, and effort on something, you always get what you want. So that was my sign. So when it was taken away from me, I felt like I lost it. I lost it. I didn't scream. I just sat numbed. Just tears rolling down my cheek. But I didn't scream. I didn't wail. I just sat there, motionless. Now, the reason why this hit so hard, because I had just lost my dad. I had just lost my dad several months ago, and in 2016, I had not healed completely. You know, it's a journey. And then now I had also lost the band restaurant when they came and wiped it clean. And in the process of me trying to survive, trying to stay afloat, now I'm losing the car. It hit hard. And so after the car, I had lost my car. That is when I was just at home now watching movies and not taking care of myself because of the stress of me losing everything that I had worked with. So that is the time that I was gifted the oven And that is how now I restarted now the baking journey. So in Ahero, when the bakery was doing well, I made some mistakes too that cost me. In Ahero, the business was doing fairly well. And by fairly well, I don't mean that I was pocketing a good number of a good return at the end of the day. But we were busy. We were busy. I would go to work very early in the morning. Maybe there are days that I would go at 3 a.m., at 4 a.m., because of the kind of production that was needed, depending on the demand. And the days that it required me to maybe close late. And of course, that put a strain on my relationship, on my marriage. I also, in that period, I began Bella Household, which was an online store where we were selling furniture and fittings. We were selling carpets, duvets, kitchenware, shoes, and clothes. And me having that business mind, I approached different wholesalers, of course, online, and so I would get pictures of the products they are selling, and I would reserve them on the WhatsApp group. I had a WhatsApp group and on the WhatsApp status. So, and it grew very well. And tulianza na order moja, it grew to the level that I began doing chamas, online chamas, whereby I would put a group of 10 people, not necessarily women, but 10 people together who have a common interest. Let's say they want to buy a cooker. So we will contribute at the end of the month, then we will supply a cooker to one person. And for quite some time, for several months, it went on well. And it went on well to the extent that I also introduced the issue of cash chamas. And in the cash chama, I did, we had several groups where we were doing weekly contributions, monthly contributions, semi-annual contributions, and I was the treasurer. I kept all those funds was managed by me. There's a time I remember having a group of over 100 people who are contributing 100 shillings every day. And we would, at the end of 7 days, we would distribute the money to 2 or 3 members. So I was a busy woman. Bella Households was running. The chamas were running well, and the bakery was also running. But that is where my major downfall happened, because number one, I think I had not dealt with the pain of the loss that I had gone through before when I lost the bar and restaurant, and also when I lost the car. My phone crashed. My phone crashed, and when I was running all these chamas and this online business, I didn't bank the money anywhere. All that money was in my phone. And just one day I was using the phone and it stopped working. It was a new phone. I think I had only used it for a month or two. And it stopped working. I took it to Calcare and haikuamka. Tukatengeneza, ikakuwa sijui ni screen, sijui mara ni motherboard. But hadi kafika mahali nikashuka nikaachana nayo. But my point is, I lost people's money in that process. To date, I have never understood how it happened. And my people close to me also have never understood how it happened. But I lost a good amount of money that belonged to people. And wakaanza kunitafuta. or they would come to the shop. Others will bang at the door, but they would call me names and say all manner of things to me. And trying to explain to them didn't bear any good fruits. So it was bad to the level that they would come to the shop and also go. Others would ask for direction. Now that I was doing business in Ahero, everyone knew me, and they would ask for a direction and go to my home and now talk to my people about this money that they have not recovered, that was lost in my hands. So that put a strain on me. I was under a lot of pressure because now I have lost people's money. I need to repay it. And now I began taking money from my business and to try and sort these people. I paid a few that I could manage, and the others I did not pay. I have not paid them up to date, but I keep telling them that I'm working on it, and once I'm in a position to, I will honor that and I will pay them, each and every one of them. But that is another thing that hurt me. It hurt me. It hurt my name. It hurt me. It hurt my identity so much. And at the same time, our marriage was not doing very well. We were having our own issues that we were dealing with. And so this one woman had so much. She had a full plate of issues that I was dealing with, and it was too much for me to bear. And the climax of the issues in my home and the issues in my business led to us separating with my husband, and I relocated to Nakuru. I remember leaving him with our daughters, and when I relocated to Nakuru, I just came by myself to start from scratch. I just wanted to go as far as possible. And when I was relocating, remember my phone had crashed, and I was trying to sort F1 that I owed. So when I was even relocating, I didn't even have a phone. I didn't have a phone that I could even use to communicate with my people. And I was not in a mental state to take care of my children when I was relocating. And financially also, I wasn't doing well. So now that we had, when I was relocating, when I relocated, I decided that to come to Nakuru because I studied in Nakuru, Kabarak University. So Nakuru was a bit of a familiar place for me to start from. That is why I came to Nakuru. Coming to Nakuru, I decided to start from scratch. And by scratch, I mean I would break from the house and go and hawk. I would walk around with cakes, queen cakes on the tray. I would sell in the morning, take a break at lunchtime, and go back and sell in the evening. So I remember the first day having baked, and I will we're going out to sell. I will get so scared mpaka nirudi kwa nyumba. I did that twice, 2 different days. The first day nilifika kwa gate kanishinda. I went back to the house and really cried. The second day I tried, ikanishinda, bado nikarudi kwa nyumba. The third day I just forced myself. I took that step of faith and I went. Surprisingly, within an hour, I had sold all the cupcakes that I had made. They were not a lot, but managing to sell 50 pieces that first day was beautiful for me. So I was so happy, so excited that I still can do this thing. And I went back. I remember running to Gilani's, buying the product, the ingredients, and coming back and baking, so that on the following day I would do the same again. So I started with 50 pieces and kept on increasing as the profit margin also increased. I grew that way, then reached a point that I looked for assistants. People would help me now hawk the queen cakes. We were all going to hawk. I would bake at night, then in the morning, all of us go to hawk. So I looked for people around here. around Nakuru. I began with 3 people. We worked, and then I added other more people. It reached a point where now I stopped the hawking, and my staff only would go do the hawking, and I would only concentrate on the baking. At this point now, because it's a new territory, you have to build the brand and the business from scratch. So I wasn't getting so many event cake orders, have been new, but we were putting our word out there. And because now people loved the queen cakes that we were doing, I would get an order or 2 in a week, and I would appreciate that. So it reached a point where I brought in more staff. That I hosted in the house. I was living in a quite spacious house. So I brought in people from Ahero. Some I had worked with before, some were new, and I brought them in to work with me. And in that process, I also managed to open up a place that we would bake and sell from. So I brought them in just a few days before we opened the shop, the bakery. And they were 10 in total. So we were a team of 11 people. So we opened this place. I remember the first days were not easy, but they were manageable. I would bake, and them now their work was to distribution. They would go out and hawk. We didn't have a means of transport, so we would only hawk to distribute our cakes, our queen cakes. And whenever we got an event cake, it's when we will do it. So 3 weeks down the line, after launching the bakery, the agents come to me and tell me that the business has grown way faster than they anticipated, and they want me to niache duka liende, nitafute duka ingine. And actually, and the first day they called me, I thought it was a joke, but they were very serious. They told me the place we had set up the bakery was very high-end place, and they didn't want the kind of traffic that I was bringing in that place. So they asked me to look for a place and to move out. And as I have said, I didn't think they were serious. But now they began to harass me. They will come and park a car, the agent car, in front of at the entrance of the bakery. And of course it will interfere with my customers. They called me for meetings in their office in Nakuru town, trying to convince me to write a letter to them so that I get to move to a different place. And I remember I refused. I told them I'm not doing that. That is sometime last year in May. That is last year, May, 2024 May. So I refused to write the letter. And when I realized, that is the time that I realized actually these people were serious. So I went and reported it at Kaptembo police station. And the police officers told me to go to the chief. I went to the chief, and the chief and his staff now called these people and told them what they are doing was not right. And that is the time they chose to, they were asked if they were told to refund the money if they want me to move out. The refund didn't come that day, the same day, but they did refund the money. But that hurt my business because I had brought in this staff. There's a vision that I had for this business when I was setting it up. And just 3 weeks into it, and now you have to relocate. I had invested in that place, redoing the place, the painting, the branding, all that. Now we have to move to a different place and start from scratch again. And a mistake I had done is I had taken funds that was meant to pay rent for my house, and I had put also in this business because I knew by the end of the month, by the end of that May, we'll have made enough sales to now take care of both the two rents for the bakery and the shop. And also, just to point that I was hosting these people. It was a team of 6 men and 4 ladies, and I was hosting them in my house. So I had my own room, then the ladies had their own room, and the men were using the living room as their room, and then we had a kitchen. So we were living in this house, all of us. And so in the morning we would go to work, in the evening they come back home. Now, they usually say that when it rains, it pours. My friend, in my life, whenever it has rained, it has always poured. When it's blessings, it's blessings. And when it's trouble, it comes in full measure. While I was at this agent's office, the agents for the house, they had come to the shop to ask for the payment, and they didn't find me. So they told my staff they would come the following day. So I went and tried to talk to them, but we didn't agree. They told me they're giving me that one day to get the funds, which I failed. But hata hiyo siku haikuisha. Nikiwa shop, my ladies come and tell me, I'm sorry Bella, but nyumba imefungwa. We had not taken anything from that house. We had not. I didn't even have a sweater. Just the only dress that I had on that day, and my staff also, they had not taken anything from the house. So tumefungiwa nyumba. We are 11. No, we were 10 because one of the staff had an emergency and he had left. So wakabaki 9. So we were 10. So nimefungiwa nyumba and we are 10. Na shop pia, it has its own issues. They're asking me to go. It was hard on me. It was hard. It was very, very hard for me because that day we couldn't even work peacefully because najiuliza tukishafunga sasa tunaenda wapi? My shop was small. Hakuna vile tungefit hapo. Number 1. Number 2, we didn't even have beddings. So tulikuwa tunaenda wapi at the end of that day? But I tried to be as positive as possible because now they're like my children. I have these people who are depending on me. So I have to be strong. I tried. So ikafika jioni, tumemaliza kuuza. Tuko hapo. Pesa tuko nayo. Hata tukienda we tried to talk to the agents. They watufungulie, but they couldn't open because it wasn't enough. That same day, I've had issues with my agent's workshop. And yes, they have not locked the place. It's still open. We are supposed to work. But now we don't have a place to lay our heads after work. So we have closed. It's the end of the day. Tumefunga job. So tumekaa hapo, they're asking me, Bella, so what are we going to do? And I'm seated with them. I don't even have an idea. So a friend of mine, a client, passes and akatuona tumekaa nje. And he's like, he called me and we talk. I tell him the situation and he tells us that he will host us. But now he cannot hide enough food, but he will accommodate us. He'll give us a place to lie, to rest. And I am forever grateful to him. He's called Sam. He's alinisaidia sana. So we go to his place. Apparently, this place was a footballer's house. It was a big house. Ladies walipata place yetu ya kukaa, the men wakapata place yao. So it was a good place for us. But now we would come from this house and go to work. but we couldn't change clothes because now we didn't have clothes, spare clothes with us. The second day we wear the same dresses, but now the third day we had to go to the market and buy cheap things that we can use to change. Na on the fourth day, or after kufungiwa nyumba, we had to leave the shop. Now we are leaving the shop. I am carrying things from this shop and I don't have a place I am going to take these things. Our bakery items, we don't have a place to take. So I go and talk to a friend also. He has a clinic and he gives us one of the rooms, and so that we put our stuff there. So we have left tulikuwa tunakaa kama masquatters. Tumetoa vitu kwa the shop, and also nyumbani we don't have a place to call home. So we at night we are going to sleep at some place, and during the day we spend in the clinic in this room that we have put our stuff. And because we had gas and our jiko and oven there, now we would cook there. Ingetafuta pesa during the day, we cook there, and then we go and sleep at the end of the day. After a week, after 7 days, now Sam tells me he's not able to continue hosting us because of due to some things that he was dealing with and his team. So he was not able to continue hosting us. I remember I cried. I cried during that time. I remember we were praying as a team most of the time and telling God to just come through for us, because now I didn't know where I was going to get the money to pay rent for the house, or even because the refund didn't come on time. It took quite some time. And so we were there stranded. I remember I went to this friend of mine, mwenye clinic, and I just reached his office and I broke down. I just knelt and cried. We used to go to the same church, and I cried a lot, and I told him my situation. Of course, he knew a bit of it, but he didn't know that the house had been locked. So now I had to open up and tell him. I had only told him about the shop issue. So I opened up and tell him about also the house. And he's like, Bella, I don't have any other way I can help you, because I can't accommodate you many in my house. But what if I host you here? And so at the end of the day, we would spend nights in the hospital, in his clinic. He was supportive enough. The days we wouldn't have food, and he would give us money, buy us food for us, all of us, the 10 of us. He would buy us unga, mafuta, makaa, gas pia iliisha, and ensure we have something, at least, even if it's one meal that day, that at least we've taken something. So we spend nights in that clinic. My friend, the footballer who had hosted us, alitusaidia na mattresses. So we will put the mattresses on the floor at the reception. The men will spend there. Actually, not the men, we would spend there, all of us. We will just put the mattresses, the men side their entrance, and the ladies the other side. And now mimi, kwa sababu mimi ni mkubwa wao, now I would spend in quite, I don't know what is it called, the place where they mtu akienda kama amelemewa analala hapo kwanza, wanamhudumia. So that is where I would spend my night. And we didn't have enough bedding, so at night this friend will remove the curtain. So that is what I would use as my bed sheet at night, and then in the morning tunarudisha the curtain. So we did that, and we would pray a lot. I remember one of my brother-in-laws was one of the team members on the 10. He's called Rolex, and he would pray and tell me, Bella, I know it is tough on you, but I know God is going to open a way for you. And God did open a way for me. There's a friend who called and asked me what I needed the most at that time. And I told him, all I need is funds for us to restart the bakery, and explain to him the situation that we are in. And he asked me if I can prepare a business plan and go and present it. And yes, I did. I prepared a business plan, went to Nairobi, did the presentation, and he came through for me. He came through for us. And that is how our stay in that place she ended, because now he funded the restarting now of the bakery. Tukiwa hapo, I didn't know where I was going to start from. And I was too scared, too ashamed, too embarrassed to even ask for help from my siblings or anyone else, because it was just too much for me. But when I got the help, we really thanked God. And through that help, and then when the help came in, that is when the refund came in. So I got another place for the shop, paid, it was renovated, and then we moved the business. We moved the bakery there, and then got another house, and that is what happened. In this new business, in this new setup that we have, in this new setup for the bakery, we were progressing well. We were progressing well. But tuweza CatCon. So baada ya kuonekaniwa, we got another location. Busy jakuwa poa sana. We tried our level best. We pushed ourselves to extreme levels. I would go and open the bakery at 3 a.m. because we needed to produce. We were doing kakangumus, mandazis, donuts, cakes. We were doing so many products. So production had to start way earlier, and still I was the baker. I hadn't gotten someone to help me. So I would go to work very early, and then maybe take a break during the day, and then go back home, and then take a break, rest, then go back to work maybe later in the afternoon. So we went on like that till it reached a point I realized we are busy, yes, and we are not making enough. Actually, I felt like I was working for my employees, because yes, they were being paid and paid on time, but I felt like I wasn't earning enough to even take care of myself and my children. And so because of those reasons, I chose to downsize up to the level where I ended up by January this year. I was operating, so I was alone. So I even now reduced even the products that we are producing, because now I realized there are things I need to work on and understand this business well. So at that point, we were transferring our kids to Nakuru, because we wanted them to be closer to me, to their mother, and the resources were tight. I remember having to choose between either paying my children's enrollment to school, or taking care of my business, and maybe that is the stock, rent, and being in that position is not a walk in the park. I remember asking my landlord to give me a grace period of a week, so that I reorganize myself and give me a chance to take my children to enroll them to the new school, which he agreed, but he didn't honor. So even before I enrolled them to school, I remember we went to work on 16th of January, which was my birthday, only to find the shop locked, and it was locked. Actually, it was on a Wednesday. It was locked on a Wednesday, and I was supposed to pay him on a Saturday. That was the agreement. And in there, when he locked were cake orders, and that week was I felt like God alikuwa amenikumbuka because I had like 7 cake orders, and I knew when I deliver them, because people pay deposit, you work on their cakes, then they clear the balance when you deliver. And I knew when I deliver, I'll have enough money to offset my bills. But now this guy didn't want to understand that. And so he locked them up. And that was the toughest blow I've ever, okay, not the toughest I've ever gone through, but it is just an additional on the pain and the shame and everything that I was carrying. I remember crying so much because first now I have to look for other money to get somebody else to beg for me to deliver these cakes. You see, that is another expense, and I don't even have this money. I really cried. And that is the time I gave up. I gave up on myself. I gave up on that business. I just gave up. I surrendered. I told God, I think enough is enough. Seemingly, I don't know how to run this life. I don't know how to, I don't have a manual on how I'm supposed to conduct myself. So I remember taking time to seek him, to seek his guidance, to just seek his way. And that is the time that we would, that time it drew us so close to each other, me and my daughters, because we would spend so much time reading the Bible. We would spend so much time praying and trying to ask God to come in and help us. And I thank God for my girls because they were my support system. There was my support system. They even my little one, they all encouraged me, prayed with me. We read the Bible, and whenever I'll look downcast, they will tell me, "Mama, you're the strong person, the most strong person that we know. And even at this time, we trust that you will figure a way out." And honestly, I didn't know. I didn't have a way out. I was just tired. The pain that I felt in my heart is the kind of pain that yani inauma, ni chungu sana mpaka you cannot see clearly which way to take. So in that time of seeking God the way forward and trying to beg my landlord to open for me, he did not open. We had to take extra measures. I went to the land and reps people. And it's only at that point that he opened, which was 2 weeks later. And of course, the damage was already done. Cakes because sharibika, the food was destroyed. In fact, they called my maggots. I remember opening that shop and it was smelling. Yani ilikuwa inatoa harufu ile mbaya. My neighbors were like, "Hey, we've never seen even something like this happen to anyone." I didn't have arrears of several months. It was just that 1 month. And my neighbors had arrears for several months, and yet their shops were not locked. Lakini yangu imefungwa. So at that point, now I began asking myself, what's going on in my life, really? What problem do I have? Like, is there anything that I have that is following me specifically? Unajua nafika point najiuliza, is there anything wrong with me? But these things are happening to me and they're not happening to other people. How can your neighbor have arrears of 3-4 months na wewe umechelewa kulipa rent na 1 week na wewe ufungiwe na yeye hajafungiwa? How can you open a shop 3 weeks down the line, the shop has picked, you're doing more than 20,000 sales in a day, and then boom, you're asked to relocate, not because you've not paid rent. Actually, you had paid rent for 3 months in advance. Now urudishiwe pesa wambiwe, we don't need you here. Is that even normal? It's not normal. Is it normal for you to wake up at 3 a.m., go to work and come back, close the shop at 9 a.m., and still not afford 500 shillings for yourself. No, it's not normal. So I decided, let me take a break. That is one thing I have never known how to do in my life. I'm a grinder. I've always been a grinder. I am always on the go. But this time I told myself, let me take this time and try to figure out ni nini mbaya. So in that process of trying to figure out what was going on in my life, in that process of trying to understand the cause of the things that was happening in my life, is when I got this idea. I felt led to start this channel of Rebuilding with Grace. Because now I realized doing this life, number one, without grace, without God, utazunguka tu hivyo kama vile nimezunguka. And it is a painful process. And I usually tell my daughters, I wouldn't want any one of them to experience even a quarter of the things that I have experienced. And I tell them, for you not to experience them, the things I have gone through, or even have the wisdom to handle your life differently, you need Jesus in your life. Because that is what I did. Yes, I have known God. I have always been going to church. I have been praying. But I did not have a personal relationship with Him. And that is what I began working on. In January, when this happened, I chose to surrender. I surrendered everything. I surrendered my life, my businesses, my children. I surrendered everything. Now, what I did is to seek divine direction. I wanted Him to tell me what He wants me to do, His purpose for my life, what He wanted me to do, when He wanted me to do, how. I wanted that to be so clear. So during this time when I was doing this search, He inspired me to share my rebuilding journey with the public so that it becomes my journey of rising again becomes an encouragement to somebody else who might be going through similar things that I have gone through, or who might be going through different challenges, yes, but my story on how I rise becomes like a rope. It's like me throwing a rope to them and trying to pull them, so in directing them on how they rise again. So that is why this channel was started. It is to share our rising. And because my life has been messy, so my point is, in whichever situation that you are, He, God, will come and meet you there, so long as you accept Him wherever you are and ask Him to show you the way. He always does. When you choose Him, He always does. He comes in, He mends the situation, He calms your heart, He orders your direction. There's this verse that I love in the Bible where Jesus was with His disciples on the boat, and apparently kukakuwa na mawingu, kukakuwa na strong winds, and the boat was sinking. And at that time, His disciples wakaanza kupanic. They were like, God, wakaenda Jesus wanamuuliza, wewe unalala aje? And we are going through this. How can you sleep in such a situation? And when He woke up, He rebuked the storm, calmed it, and akawauliza, kwani imani yao iko wapi? And the reason why I love this particular verse is because when I invited Jesus in my storm, He calmed it. He calmed my storm. Alirebuke, akaituliza. And you know, when the storm is calm, now you are able to think clearly. You're able to have to think like to use this mind that He has given you. Because in 2 Timothy, I don't remember the verse, but He says that He has not given us the spirit of fear, but He has given us the spirit of a sound mind and something like that. But my point is, you are not able to think clearly if you're still kama unababaika kwa sababu ya the challenges that you're going through. And when you allow Jesus in your life, He calms the storm. He enables you to think clearly because now He's there behind you telling you. He says that when you go to turn to the left or turn to the right, you will hear Him telling you this is the way. So He does that. So he did that for me. He has walked with me this journey from January to date. He has been revealing things to me that I needed to work on for me to have to live that dream life that I always dreamt of for myself. We have worked on my self-concept with him because of the things that I have gone through. It tainted on Mluya lazima ashome at some point. But the way I viewed myself was not in line with what he viewed for me, because he says I'm his son, but I wasn't walking this life as his son. He says that I'm a heir of his kingdom, but I wasn't operating as a heir. He says that I'm the head and not the tail, but I wasn't operating as a head, but I was operating. Yeah. He says he's not given us a spirit of fear. I was operating in fear, the internet, my voice, and all this will be seen in the way I praised my products, in the way I would talk to clients, in the way I would lead my team, my team of the bakery. So we have worked on my self-concept so much that right now as I serve and I say and I read with a different perspective, because I've anchored myself in his identity or in his vision for myself. So debating with Grace is a safe ground that we come together, men and women, to share how we are, to encourage each other on this journey of rising. So I encourage you, my loves, to subscribe to this channel, to comment, please share a word or two on how you feel led by the Spirit. Share the information or the page. You can share the link to someone who you think that our content would inspire them, will encourage them in the journey of rebuilding. And you can also comment then and pray with us, because this time in phrasing again is not a walk in the park. And I would love this to be a community. I would love to learn from you as you learn from me. So feel free to stick around and help us grow. Till next time, may Jesus keep you.